Welcome back to Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network, episode 57. All right, welcome back, everybody. Jay, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Did you watch the episode in question today that we're going to be talking about?
Oh yes, I watched it already. A long time ago.
Just as a reminder, this is we're going to be talking about the episode called The Broken Man, aka JT, Game of Thrones.
It actually makes sense because now I was broken.
Game of Thrones season 6, episode 7. And for everybody who missed out on last episode, I do want to mention at the top of this one that JT accidentally ended up watching episode 7 instead of episode 6 for the first time out of sequence. Like, he ended up watching the wrong episode that we were going to talk about. So
He jumped one.
when we sat down to record the last episode, unbeknownst to me, Jay literally during the recording was like, I don't remember any of this. And he's looking at his notes, and clearly he was writing down stuff for this episode and making comments based on this episode. So, make way, because I'm sure he's got a lot to say about this one this time around. So unfortunately, we didn't come at it with our best foot forward that last episode, I will say, as a result of Jay unfortunately being not having much to add to the conversation for not seeing it. But that's okay.
I'm a broken man.
It made for a very funny moment, so I did want to mention it once again here. So if you did see the last episode and wonder like what the hell's going on, it's because I tried to power through it as a result of Jay not having actually had seen it. But by the time you watch this, he will have gone back and watched it. So don't worry, we will right the ship. But Jay, that being said, you had mentioned how good the last episode was. Talking about this episode now, even though I did think the last episode was good, I do agree with you in saying this episode is definitely the best one of the season yet. This was an excellent episode. Yeah.
This one blew my mind, and this is where I'm. This one I'm actually ready for. I took a lot of notes on this one, just because, I remember my hand was cramping when I was taking notes because it had already started cramping from the last one. And I was like, okay, I got to try to do this, get through this one. And oh man, just because there was so much to tell, there was so many key points, I think, in this one that you have to really pay attention to. Because if you don't, I think you're going to lose it in the next. And I keep thinking to myself, how are we going to fit this in another, like you said, it's like a season and a half basically, because the last two seasons are half seasons.
It's a lot of people's argument about the last two seasons, right?
I feel like I'm going to be rushed through it, and I'm going to be angry at the end.
You're going to be rushed through it. Don't set yourself up that way. Let's go into it with an open mind.
I don't like to be rushed through anything. I like to be explained a lot better.
It's a bit of a rush. I'll tell you that right now. I mean
if you can do a visual explaining of it, then I can understand. But I mean, if they can do stuff like this,
so I will warn you from what I do remember. But I'm going to try to go into it with a new, And I didn't hate it as much as everybody I feel like else did at the time. But I will say the thing that did annoy me and that was very evident is, how like in this, like right now during the show, it'll take them maybe a whole season to build up a storyline or show a character story, or like, let's say they got on a boat to journey somewhere. It could take a couple of episodes to get there and like have things happen.
It was taking half a season sometimes.
When you get into those last two seasons, and the sake of time, because they don't really have many episodes to cover everything. They're literally going places and within the same episode they're getting there, and like, you know what I mean, like, and
like how can they do that with something if you want to make it?
It's because because they didn't have the material anymore from the book to go off of when you get into the final season, especially the last season 8.
So it's basically like what I did last episode, where it was just kind of like
try to fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Basically is what we're saying.
So there's a lot of reason. I mean, we'll discuss it more so when we actually get to the show, because there's a lot of stuff that unfortunately was going on outside of the show with the writers and the stuff, the politics of everything with HBO, the fact that people wanted to go on and work on other things, the fact that they were making things up.
The money started getting a little bit. They started cutting back.
So all kinds of things, a lot of production issues, let's say, right? So unfortunately, when that kind of stuff happens and you're watching a show, sometimes you can tell that something's going wrong with the production of the show. It's just like when during COVID times, some shows, some seasons of our shows were very strange because of the way the production was happening behind the scenes. They were trying to make up for the fact that they're not actually all together, or they could only work with certain people. So it's like you kind of got the feeling that there was other things going on outside of the show at that time. Like I said, I had talked about, there's famously like Starbucks cups in the scenes and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah, I'm
that.
waiting
Yeah.
to see that kind of stuff, right? Like I am waiting to see that. I'm trying to
So
keep my eyes open.
so it just felt like for a show and for fans that were so loyal to it that that they felt you know, like screwed over with the fact that it seemed like it was very rushed by the
Yeah,
end of it,
makes
right?
sense.
Like what a commitment people made, like the commitment that people made to this show and this world and everything involved with it. And at the end, they got like what many people thought a half-assed wrap up, and that was unclear about the direction and like, and again, like the man has not finished writing the books yet. That's the thing too, right? So you got to remember he was there advising them and telling them certain things that he thought were going to happen, like that were eventually going to happen in the books and this kind of stuff. But
Do we know, is he still writing the books, or is
I actually just seen
dead?
an update today. It's funny you mentioned that. I think there was an update recently that said today they reported that he made a comment saying that he still has hundreds of pages to go in the next novel, and he's written 1,100 pages so far of the current novel, but he
That's
still has
great.
hundreds more to do. Now, apparently, this update has not changed since this time last year when he literally said that he wrote 1,100 pages. And people were arguing, or I've seen comments online today saying, like, how can he have not written anything from this time last year? And he's saying there's still hundreds of pages to go. And then other people were quick to mention, like, obviously, even though he may not have written many pages within this last year, a lot goes into this, a lot of research, a lot of
Well,
things
he
he
has
was.
to go back, right?
But that's what I mean. They're saying there's a lot of things he could really be playing out in his head and figuring out in terms of like before actually putting pen to paper and writing this stuff. That's why some people came to his defense and were saying, like,
Well, I will come to somebody's defense because life gets involved,
right.
especially when you become that big after something like this. I mean, the book was probably making him big itself, but
that's people's
movie
argument
did some of
too,
the
is
shows, too.
you're seeing his name attached to things in terms of like working with the television shows.
Yeah,
And
but
then you're
like you
seeing
told me,
he wrote something for a video game, like a script for a video. Like there's been a lot of other things he's been doing,
yeah. But you
not
told me
wrapping the
that
book up.
that people write their names like that, big producers and stuff, or
They throw their
they
names on
just
shit.
throw their names on shit
Yes,
just to
yes.
say, okay, yeah, there you go, you're endorsed by
Right.
me, basically, in that sense.
Yep.
But they don't even lift a finger for
That's
it.
right. That's right.
So I mean, you got to give them that credit too, right?
That could be his involvement in some of these things, right? I wouldn't be surprised, but like
somebody that's got to write a novel like that, and not a novel that's a generational novel,
sure.
then you got to really, I mean,
I think
that's
that
your whole life.
the fear is though with a lot of people is there's so many other fantasy writers that have done this and they end up dying and they never finish the book. So like I think
Bad, bro.
and
It
that's
happens.
I
You
think
never
that's what
promised them
people
all.
are fearing right now is that this man will not finish this fucking book, and that so many people again have invested so much time into this and care about this property so much that if they don't see the end of this story, right?
Well,
like
that's kind of why it's cool if they do spin-offs and stuff and shit like
Sure.
that, because you know what, it actually makes for new writing and new interests coming into
but
them,
a lot of the things they're covering in those shows has already been written in the book, so it's not really necessarily like, yes, they're seeing it come to life on the screen, which can be interesting, and they can explore different avenues of that material
say whatever they
and
want.
flesh it out more so than they did in the books possibly.
Yeah.
But like it's just one of those things where like again it's already been written, those things. Like these things have already, and again, why are you going off and doing other things when this thing is still sitting on the table unfinished, right? So again, that's people's fear. I get it. I don't know. He must be in his late 50s, 60s or somewhere around there. Yeah.
He's not gonna die tomorrow, hopefully.
So anyways, this episode though, yeah, a really great one, and let's, without further ado, let's get into it. I do want to say though, make sure you like and subscribe, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and watching these episodes, really appreciate it. And these do drop every Thursday at 8 p.m. And there's no sign in us slowing down. These will be coming out weekly still, and probably right through the end. We've been keeping on top of our recordings in that sense. And thank you to all the guests that have joined us so far and that are yet to join us. And thanks again, everybody. Thanks for tuning into these. Always a great time. All right, so the first scene here, this is the first cold opening ever on the show, this scene here. And it kind of did throw me as well, Jay, to your point about mentioning this, thinking it was last episode. But this was the first cold opening, I at least that I've
That's what
noted
they call it,
of this
cold
show.
open.
Yeah, where they kind of just throw you right into the middle of something, and instead of us getting the whole song and the intro with all the animations and everything else, but you know what? This was a big reveal.
Yeah.
Man, we haven't actually known if the Hound was still alive or not. But as we've mentioned on this show before, we did not see him die. We seen him fucked up, really badly injured by Brienne Tarth after she fought him
Yeah.
for Arya's sake, and then Arya ended up running off and leaving him
Yeah.
while he was dying and bleeding out and fucked up on the side of the road there in a
But
ditch.
we also know he's a strong guy.
That's right.
He's survived.
I
that
mean,
kind
look
of
at his
fucking
brother.
fight.
He's a Frankenstein's monster now, right? And he's been brought back to life from the dead. So that clearly this guy could take a beating too. Yeah. Well, listen, it's the
True.
same blood, right? So, anyways, yeah, Clegane, aka the Hound, Sandor Clegane, aka the Hound, is still alive. In this opening scene, we see him. He's farming. He's like doing work, like on a with some in a nice town. It seems like
Is it a town or is it
it's
like
a little
like a countryside?
yeah, pretty much. Like it seems in this opening scene, you're like, oh, look at this guy. I mean, he might be a piece here, like kind of right. But
Yeah, like he's
we
fine,
quickly learn that's not the case. Still, like he's trying to find peace, but this is a man that's troubled by a lot of things, and things keep happening to him. Like no matter how hard he tries not to be involved in shit, shit always happens. Yeah.
We find that out.
So, anyways, we'll get to that. But yeah, this opening scene, you basically just see him. He's living with a band of villagers. He's in a village. That's what it is.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
they're building new stuff and they're trying to expand. It looks like they're trying to become a bigger place or trying to give themselves some shelter. Like
Yeah,
they're building stuff out
yeah.
of wood and basic stuff.
Well, this is a religious group. We find out that's being led by a captain, like somebody who's basically trying to help these folks. That's also had a rough go of things in his life. He used to be somebody that was a warrior too, and as he mentions. But anyways,
this is a new character as well.
This is a new character. Now, this is the guy from John Wick who runs the Continental.
Okay, so
yeah,
right.
this
I'm
actor.
I've seen his face
again. We're like as I mentioned last episode, we're finally getting to see people from other things that we may have seen on TV, either after this show or before. But this is a guy who's been in lots of things that I've seen. I think he was also on a season of Dre Donovan that I really enjoyed, a show on TV as well. But this guy is famously the guy who runs the Continental Hotel in John Wick, which is his boy, right? In those movies. So
I thought it was a black guy. Yeah, black actor.
No, he was the guy that works at the Continental. He was the guy at the front desk.
Yes.
Who died now. He's dead. He's from The Wire. He was the guy, the lieutenant on The Wire. Yeah. So
I thought he ran it for some reason.
No.
Because he talked to everybody.
That's right. He was at the front desk. Yeah. It was him and this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. They ran the Continental, these two. Because whenever it went down at the Continental, it was him and this guy right here, right? So unfortunately, though, if you watch the last
John Wick, a little bit more poor here in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, anyways, I don't know the actor's name. I maybe should have looked that up, but he is the guy who runs the Continental Hotel. He owns it, let's say, and basically in New York. Brother Ray is his name in this. Their leader. He's a Septon. He talks with Sandor in this next scene and recounts how he had saved Sandor's life after having mistaken him for a corpse. When Ray mentions justice, Sandor remarks that if there was justice in the world, he should have been punished by now. Ray responds that perhaps he has been punished already, and maybe this is his punishment, like this way of life that he's living now, right? Which, if anything, I think this is actually much more peaceful, you know what I mean? Like living for this guy at this moment. Do you get the actor's name there? Or?
Yeah, just getting it right.
Yeah.
Now. Just trying to find that season of it. So seasons, yeah.
I just think it's funny still that even in this moment, he still hasn't been able to really find peace. He seems miserable, but I get it. This kind of, like I mentioned, Frankenstein's monster earlier. This guy kind of is Frankenstein's monster. If you think about it, he's a very scary, like looking dude. He's got that burned face. People are scared of him, right? They're uneasy when he's around. Yeah. He can't find peace. You know what I mean? It's kind of, it kind of is like Frankenstein's monster with the villagers all like being scared of him and stuff like that. And all he wants is to, you know what I mean? Like, he won't find peace amongst people, but he can't, right? Brother Ray, yeah.
Yeah. So Ian Shane.
Ian Shane is the actor's name. Okay, there you go. But
I see his face.
yeah, but a great opening scene, honestly, and you know, me personally, I really like the Hound as a character, so I was happy to see that he had survived. This was a big shock to me originally when I first seen this episode, the first time around. Yeah,
I was like, yeah, but you said something about we didn't see him die. I remember you mentioning that, and I'm like,
yeah, I did plant that seed.
Yeah, you did plant the seed,
yeah.
but I wasn't waiting like it. I didn't
Remember,
expect this long.
if you don't see the person die on this show, there's always a possibility that they're still alive, right?
Okay, that's what makes me wonder about the end of this episode now. So that's what's throwing me off. That's right. Thank God I didn't talk about it last episode.
So this next scene, we go over to King's Landing. Queen Marjorie is studying the 7-pointed star at the sept when the High Sparrow enters, and they discuss the passage that she's been reading, which is about the mother's love and mercy. Marjorie notes that in the past, she pretended to love the poor when in fact she only really pitied them. The High Sparrow asks her why she hasn't joined King Tommen in the marriage bed, and Marjorie explains that the desires that once drove her no longer do so. Apparently, getting religion in her blood now, actually finding some faith has dried her vagina up. Apparently, she kind of.
Apparently, aren't you supposed to reproduce and stuff like that? Like if you're married and stuff, that's what the whole.
I was really surprised with the fact that he was actually
nice. This is where I threw me off.
I was surprised that he was down with her, like actually having sex, because he is a religious guy. Although he says that, you know, it's a duty of her being the wife to give this man an heir. So I get it from that perspective.
That's what I think it was.
It's just kind of weird that he was pressuring somebody to have sex with their husband. Like, oh, your husband told me you're not banging him. I was like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of weird.
It's a kind of cool religion. You need to lose your virginity for some, sooner or later.
But yeah, she was basically saying like all this religion has kind of dried me out down there. Like I'm not interested in it, right? She's like, yeah, I felt like more, like dirty before and like turned on by this, like the fact that I kind of did all this shit, and now she's like, I'm not really into it now. The High Sparrow assures her that her desire is not her desire is not necessary, which is fucked up as well. Yeah. He's like, listen, you just gotta
teach you basically.
You have to have you don't have to have enjoyment in sex. He's like, listen, you gotta have his kids. Sorry.
Yeah.
She has a duty to produce an heir. The High Sparrow then makes a thinly veiled threat against Marjorie's grandmother, Olenna Tyrell, stating that while she is a remarkable woman, she is also an unrepentant sinner.
She needs to be taught.
Yeah, so he's kind of like warning her, like, I'm coming for her next, right? Like this is kind of what.
I think this is only about King's Landing.
So that's which makes sense with this next scene, what goes down. Now watch this. This is a very interesting scene. Very interesting scene, this next one. After Marjorie returns to the Red Keep, Olenna meets with her under the supervision of Septa Unella. Olenna insults the Septa. Only Marjorie comes to Unella's defense. Yeah. Olenna pulls Marjorie into another room in an attempt to gain some privacy, but Unella simply follows them. I love Olenna, by the way. Olenna's great. I love this broad. She's older broad. I love this woman. She's so great.
She's like I don't know.
Because at this point, she's pissed off at them because their plans were foiled to get back her Loras and everything else, right? Yeah. By the Faith. So
sorry, guys, I keep hitting the camera.
It's okay. So Olenna threatens to have her guards come in, but Marjorie again defends the Septa. She states that Unella has been a true friend and teacher, to which that the gods could have punished Olenna and her allies for marching on the Great Sept, but instead they showed mercy. Olenna retorts that they marched on the Sept for Marjorie and Loras' sake, and that Loras is still in prison. She then tries to convince Marjorie to leave King's Landing and return to Highgarden. However, Marjorie refuses, stating that her duty requires her to be at King Tommen's side. Marjorie instead pleads for Olenna to return to Highgarden instead, as she empathetically tells her grandmother to return home. Marjorie secretly slips a piece of paper into Olenna's hand, which would tip us off to the fact that she possibly has been faking this whole thing this whole time, even though it seems like the religion was getting to her and that she's been brainwashed.
Yeah, the reason why I was thinking that is because when she went to go see her brother to stay strong, and she,
right.
Like, that she's going to get some out of that.
But we, even as viewers, I was questioning in the last episode whether or not she actually believes in this faith now, or she's just playing this part to kind of fool everybody, right? And I mean, the strength on her part to be able to pull that off, honestly, is like pretty crazy, because if she's fooling these guys under under all the stress that they've been under as a result, right? I mean, she, in a way, she even fucked with Toman's head to get him to fucking agree to for this.
Yeah, he's easy. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah,
he would have
yeah,
been
yeah.
easy. The High Septon would have been
He's
a little bit
cunning
more.
though, yeah, yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel like he's just quicker than she, but she's pretty smart, man.
Yes. In doing so, she seems to have successfully communicated to Olenna that she doesn't quite mean what she's been saying in front of Septa Unella. And Olenna's expression changes, realizing this. She plays along and agrees to go, then walks away. Yeah, this is a really good scene because if you look at her eyes, even the way that she looked at her when she's like, no, like, go, like, listen to me. Like,
I was surprised she got the letter in there.
Says, I don't know what's about to go down, but it's almost like she's like, get the fuck out of here because some shit's about to go down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think she was kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen next here. Like, get out of here.
See what's on that letter. You don't.
But I just like Olenna, like, says to her, like, she's like, I'm not leaving you. Like, you're like my only like fan. Like, I'm not like, it's the last thing I'm in. And she's like, no, get the fuck out of here. Like, just like save yourself. Like go. Like,
I used to want to leave leave her brother too, and she wouldn't leave it. That's what she kept saying to her grandmother. I'm not gonna leave my brother, and he's there too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, this is a very telling moment though. That again, I feel like this is like the calm before the storm. Like something's gonna go down, and she was like, "Get out of here." Save yourself. And also, like, I think it was very interesting because they had me questioning whether or not, even though I know about that she wasn't on the level, it had me questioning even while viewing the last episode whether or not she actually was like brainwashed into this religion now, or just believing in the faith. I don't want to say brainwashed for anybody that is religious out there, but let me just say, like, some people would say,
if you want something bad, you can act.
Some people find faith in their lowest moments too, right? That's what I mean. It helps them in some regard, right? So that's why it looked like she was broken. Yeah. Like it looked like she was the broken woman. This episode's called The Broken Man, but it looked like she had fallen and she was realizing the wrongs that she had committed prior to, and she wasn't necessarily wrong about what she was saying. Like, she did put on an act. She did care about her image in front of other people and everything else that she had claimed, but whether or not she was genuine about what she was reflecting on or not, who knows, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, anyways,
I don't know how she at the end of the day, like, how she was really involved. I know she was involved because of the way it was with her brother and all that stuff, and she knew and all that. But like, I mean, for her to be really in there as much as she, it shouldn't have really been. More her brother, if anything, for those times and stuff like that. Not too many sins on this side. I don't know. Yeah, right.
As soon as she is clear of them, Olenna privately unfolds the piece of paper and finds that there was a rose drawn on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the rose. But yeah, it doesn't physically say anything, right?
It does explain here, though. She seems cheered by the silent message as the use of the Tyrell sigil, that's their sigil, indicates that Margaery is merely tricking the Sparrows and that her true loyalty is still to House Tyrell. That's what they're alluding to in these notes here.
She's still following their stance.
That's right.
Whatever, basically.
I think she's trying to let her know, like, I don't actually believe what I'm fucking saying here, but like, I'm still loyal to her people. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, it's not a
I'm just doing what I have to right now. I think it's more like that. Yeah. Yeah. She also seems to understand that Margaery is urging her to leave for her own safety. So
I knew that part. I felt that he was trying to get her to just go home. You know what I mean? And relax.
Yeah.
She's got her own thing planned out.
It was good. It was good acting on her part in that scene because there was a lot of body language and eye kind of like stuff that you kind of had to really like read
that
into.
Grandmother was pissed.
Yeah. She's insulting the woman to her face. She's, I don't fucking care about this lady. Like, I just, Olenna, she's such a tough like woman, man. Like, I would be scared of. She speaks her mind. That's what I like about this character. She doesn't care. Like, everybody else is like very two-faced and not really who they are selling themselves to be. She's very like straight up. Like, I don't like you. Fuck this person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's
been around long enough.
Yeah. Like, I'm not putting up with this shit, right? So, anyways, then we go over to the north. Jon, Sansa, and Davos begin searching for allies to retake Winterfell from Ramsay. First, with the help of Tormund and One, that big giant, and they secure the allegiance of the wildlings and their elders led by Dim Dalba, who are still indebted to Jon for saving them at Hardhome and are aware that Ramsay and his allies will wipe them out if they do nothing. When the meeting disperses, Jon asks Tormund if he's sure that the free folk will join him. And Tormund responds, "We're not clever like you Southerners. When we say we'll do something, we do it." Right? I like that. I also like the one when he agreed. He was just like, yeah, he basically just says snow and walks away.
And I thought about this on this show, that there's a lot of these things, these characters or these people that have just one word answers or one thing that they say at a time. Like his, okay, this one was snow.
Yeah.
And he just says one word. He doesn't make up a sentence, that giant.
No.
Or Hodor, just did the Hodor
That's
thing.
right.
You know what I mean? So it really tripped me out in that sense.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, this next scene, Cersei later confronts Olenna about her plans to leave, telling her to remain for the sake of Marjorie and Loras, who is still imprisoned. Olenna retorts that the reason all of this is happening is because of Cersei, as she was the one who allowed the Faith Militant to reform and allowed them to arrest Loras and Marjorie in the first place. Cersei admits that she made a mistake with the Sparrows, but insists that an alliance between the Lannisters and Tyrells is more important now than it ever was. Yeah. Olenna refuses her, noting that Cersei has neither influence nor support anymore and is surrounded by her enemies.
I refer to her as Nan, bro. The old lady. I don't know why, man. It just reminds me.
She tells Cersei that Olenna, will be leaving the city as soon as possible, and that Cersei's utter defeat is her only consolation. Another great scene with Olenna. I like how she once again told her straight up, like, you should get the fuck out of here because no one likes you here anymore. Like, you have no support. Like, she's not wrong with what she's saying to her.
She doesn't know if she thinks she's the evil. She must be. She might be the most evil person she met.
Yeah.
She even told her straight to her face. And I'm going, wow.
Well, she says, like, I despise you. I hate you. Like, the only fucking thing that's making me happy is to see you fail in this moment. I hate everything else that's going on here. Yeah, she really shit talks her in this moment. I didn't, again, set up the quotes for this one, but if I did, I had made a note here. This is a good speech by especially Olenna in this scene. Absolutely.
This one I wrote specifically. I wrote instead of Olenna and Nan, just because it reminded me of something the way she would.
Yeah,
talk,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like straight up, and I just keep my mouth shut and then just listen.
Yeah, no, this is a really good scene, man. I liked this, and I like how she basically left her with those party words, like, you are not in good shape here right now. Like, she's just like, yeah, like, you should maybe reconsider your place here and get the fuck out of here. Like, what she tells her straight up, right? She's like, listen, I don't care what happens to you, but like, no one here likes you. You have no support. You have no power. Like, I'm getting the hell out of here.
And we got it. We were okay. The Tyrells are okay.
Right. Right. So. Anyways, next we go back here. We catch up with Jaime here. Jaime and Bronn, they lead the land.
Cool together.
Yeah, I like these two. They lead the Lannister army to the gates of Riverrun, where the Freys attempt to coerce the Blackfish into surrendering the castle by threatening to execute Edmure Tully. The Blackfish calls their bluff and refuses to surrender. The Blackfish, of course, is his father, and he's at Riverrun, and Jaime got kind of pulled into this because the Lannisters are aligned with the people that are attacking them here at Riverrun. So he has to basically help the Freys. Yeah, basically he has to, because the Freys, their allegiance ever since the Red Wedding for the North stuff, as because they sided with the Freys to get basically his father. Tywin sided with Walder Frey at that point to basically take out the Robb. Yeah, so that's why they have allegiance. That's right. So like, Bronn has no stake in this game. He's like, I don't care about this shit. Like, what do you got me over here doing? He's like, you promised me a castle. Like, what?
Yeah, me everything. He promised me.
Another really good bunch of quotes in this scene, by the way. A lot of great banter between these two characters, right? Whenever they're in a scene, you can guarantee like that they're gonna have a lot of good banter. These two guys.
Something about lucky you'd be luckier we'd be. What did he say? He goes, snuck up onto him when he snuck up onto to things people. When they snuck up onto to Frey's people, like they just walked up on them, right?
Yeah,
as they were holding thing. And he says, yeah, you're lucky we snuck up on you, two of us.
No, that's after when he sees Podrick. You're referring to. You're talking about when he walks into Podrick when Bronn sees him.
No, this is.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, this is still the Edmure right in front of the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That might not even be this episode, but anyways.
Yeah.
Now I'm jumping ahead. At least I watched it.
He said to Bran, and just before the Bronn, just before this. Sorry, said, "Don't say it to the Lannisters. We always paired that because he's just
Oh,
about
he's
to
like,
say,
oh yeah, I've heard it. Don't
yeah,
say it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyways, John, Sansa, and Davos travel to Bear Island in this next scene where they meet with Lyanna, the 10-year-old head of House Mormont. And Jay, he's hearing about that she was going to be on the show. This is Bella Ramsey, right? Obviously this past year she blew up because she was on that show, The Last of Us, and she, was did a great job on that show. And obviously her and Pedro Pascal had reminisced in some of their interviews about their time on Game of Thrones, even though they never really shared the screen together on Game of Thrones, as we know, because they were in different seasons and his character died. I know Jay had mentioned that he knew about Bella Ramsey being in this show, having going back now and watching Game of Thrones for the first time, having after seen her on Last of Us. Great character. What'd you think of her being this young girl in this scene, being the one that is leading these people, right? Yeah.
she's trying. She was doing the best. Hey, I thought she was acting pretty tough there for herself, man. Like
she's
she
awesome.
She had some balls, but she still was getting her. What's his name to fucking tell her shit in his ear.
Yeah, that's right. Just her advisor.
To make sure she's saying the right thing,
Yeah.
Because she also is a little girl in this scene, man.
Yeah.
She didn't have these people around her.
But it's funny that they have to show her they have to still show her the respect, that the fact that she is leading this house, and they are still there, hat in hand, asking for help. Like, I love this whole fact that Jon Snow has to go around to all the little houses and ask for. Yeah, we'll get into that in a moment here, but ask for their help, right? So, and you're right, she puts up such a tough front in this scene. It's like,
what the fuck, Bella Ramsey finally, man.
Yeah.
Over this
yeah. So, anyways, they get there, and Sansa and John, they try to flatter her with small talk about her mother and uncle Jorah Mormont. The Mormonts, see?
That's what I mean. It's like, isn't that that's just
Jorah? Yeah, it's Jorah.
I feel like
he's
that's
related.
His uncle.
His ankle. However, it's late, guys. However, Lyanna is unimpressed and aggressively brushes them off, demanding to know their business in Bear Island. Lyanna initially rejects her request for help and stresses that House is dead and that she needs her forces to garrison Bear Island. She also remarks that Jon and Sansa cannot be considered Starks since the former is a bastard and the latter has been married twice into enemy houses, which is so fucking true. I mean, she's smart for a little. Yeah. She's like, last time I heard you were a fucking Bolton. And what the hell are you doing here? You're like, you're a bastard. Yeah, like she's right on both counts.
Why do you want us to help us defeat them? You are one of them.
Lyanna is initially unconcerned about the threat of Ramsey. Before Lyanna can dismiss them, Davos intervenes. Davos to the rescue again. Old man wisdom, bro. After briefly discussing his background, Davos manages to convince the young lady Mormont by warning her about the dangers the White Walkers pose to the living. She agrees to contribute all of her 62 men.
It's funny because he tries to relate to her, right? Like,
yes,
it's nice. The way he did it, he really. That's where when you said about him being really that type of guy.
Yes.
He when he does something in that scene where he just makes it feel like he's relating to her and he's talking to her calmly and making sense.
And honestly, I think he's the best man for the job because, as you know, that he was also on even though he's an adult, he also talked to and respected Stannis's daughter in that same sense. Like, remember the way that he used to talk? Like, he doesn't talk down to people, like younger people. Like, he comes from a respectful, like humble kind of approach to them. And he has a good way of talking. I just think that while that may not be evident in this scene, let's not forget that he was also very good friends with Stannis's daughter, who is about her age, older probably, or around the same age, right? So yeah, it's kind of I think that really
now the way that everything goes, right?
So yeah, I just like what a Davos is just clutch as hell, man, in all situations. Like, he just keeps proving time and time again that he's like the voice of reason. He's very sensible. He even admits, like, I like how he like starts off by saying, like, yeah, I come from like this background. I was poor, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing in this room with all of you guys, but like, he's like, I just know like this, like, like
he said that his dad too also played Jon's side, her dad, right?
Yeah. Well, just like he just has I don't know. He just speaks from like a place of experience, like life experience. Like, it seems like I just like how he's like, I don't know what I'm doing here now, talking to somebody who's a part of a house and with these people that used to lead. Like he's like, I shouldn't be in this room right now. Like he's like, but I'm here, and this is what I have to say. Like I just think, yeah, he's
got
clutch.
first-hand knowledge of everything, right?
Yeah. I was really impressed by it. He's just a thoughtful fucking guy, right? Like so, yeah. So she's impressed by this. He convinces her and she agrees to contribute 62 people, which is all she can manage, but promises that each Mormont soul fights with the strength of 10 men. And then Davos remarks, if they are half as ferocious as their lady, the Boltons will be doomed, right? Saying like, you're a tough little girl, right? Like they're just tough. I just like, again, she went to bat and was refusing to help them with 62 people. Like that's the type of leader you want, right? Like she's like, I'm not giving up any of my people. She's 62 men to give them, right? That's crazy.
Well, you should try.
Yeah.
She said, okay, this is all I got, but here you go.
Yeah.
We're not a big house, but we're just in the north, you know?
What a shock, though. Like John and Saz are like, what the fuck? You're like 62 men.
But I mean, like, I'm surprised she even has a fucking place, man. Like, I mean, she's lucky with her 62 men.
That's right. They need to take all they can get right now, right? So, which is, I know, John's way of thinking. So in this next scene, back with Jamie here, he's disgusted with the phrase incompetence and takes charge of the siege and attempts to parley with the Blackfish, warning him that the Lannisters will show no mercy to the Tullys, but if he surrenders, the lives of his men will be spared. The Blackfish rejects the offer and warns Jamie that he has 2 years worth of food in his stronghold and that while hundreds of his own men may die defending it, thousands of Lannister troops will perish as well. So they're kind of at a bit of a standstill, right? I mean, I commend Jamie for trying to squash it without having to, go to war with them right away. But he's just kind of like, listen, like, just fucking give it up already. Yeah. This guy's too stubborn. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, I can wait all day, right?
Type of character plays.
Yeah. The Blackfish. Yeah, he's a stubborn fucking guy. They've said as much. And to be honest, it seems like all the Tullys are. Like Catelyn was a very stubborn woman. Like she was kind of like, I don't take shit from anybody type of person, which is I guess a good trait in some situations. Yeah. And some others not so much. Look what happened to Rob, right? You know what I mean? Like Rob, he listened to his mother. Yeah. Look where it got him, right? Anyways. Then we're back over with John. John and Sansa travel the Deepwood Moat to secure the allegiance of House Glover. This one doesn't go as well. They receive a frosty reception from Robert Glover, who points out that the late King Robb failed to protect his home from the Ironborn. Despite his being one of the Stark's most loyal bannermen, Robb did not come to his aid when the Ironborn invaded Deepwood Moat, imprisoned his wife and children, and brutalized his subjects, unaware that this was Robb's intention, but he was persuaded otherwise by Roose Bolton. They're still paying for Robb's mistakes. Here we go, right? They're still paying for his mistakes that he made, right, during all this. Now they're trying to ask for help. These people are like, fuck you, right? Like, you guys didn't help me, so why am I going to help you out now? Sansa tries to, mention the fact that the Glovers had pledged, loyalty to their House Stark, and he responds that he received them out of respect for their father, but warns them that they have outstayed their welcome, right? I mean, Sansa tries. I mean, she tries saying, like, you guys already have said you have her back. You can't just go back on that. And he's like, no, too bad. Like, you guys didn't help me out. I just love how they have to like their hat in hand, like they have to beg to these people to basically help them in a situation, right?
And it's also too because they have the wilding too, and it's kind of like why the fuck, man? Because they tried that they're gonna just take everything back from everybody afterwards.
Yeah. So then we go over to the free cities. Theon and Yara take the Iron Fleet to Volantis to hide and rest inside a brothel. Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, Theon has no point in being there anymore because he's got no dick.
Well, I was watching that scene and I was like, oh, is that real? Like, I don't know, man. Like, wouldn't you still want to look? I know I don't know.
I think it would lose some of its appeal if I didn't have a dick. Yes.
I know
there's people that don't have working parts down there and they still like to pleasure women. Okay. You still get a pleasure if you like to pleasure women in other ways. And that's what I mean. But
his sister had no problem making out.
But the blood doesn't rush to your cock. So there's a feeling there that you would be without if you don't have one.
I know, but his sister was getting some blood rushing feeling.
Oh, sure. She was. She was enjoying herself, right?
So, I mean, like, just take it.
Theon sits there as Yara and the others, have naked and semi-naked prostitutes all around them.
Oh,
Yara repeatedly tells Theon to drink some ale, and he repeatedly refuses.
I know. It's like holy fuck! Come
So
on,
she's
man.
like,
Go
"Hey,
there.
lighten up! I don't, have a dick." But Yara is persuading Theon to regain his former identity and self-confidence, as she will need his assistance in getting justice and retaking Iron Islands from their uncle. When pressed, he says that if justice were served, he would be burnt for his crime. So she responds, "Fuck justice, then do it for revenge." I like that. I
To
like.
get the real Theon back.
Yeah, I like that she's trying. Right. Eventually, she convinces him to put his guilt aside and help her because she needs him. He drinks some ale and begins to gain some composure. She then reveals to Theon that she plans to take the Iron Fleet to Meereen. There you go. See, and forge an alliance with Daenerys. See, more people are looking to go join Daenerys now before Euron does. After the conversation, she goes to have sex with a female prostitute.
He goes, well, if yours not working, you know what? I am gonna
Yeah,
go.
Plenty more to go around.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if he's back, man. I don't know. Like he's growing a pair of ears slowly.
Yeah.
Maybe they grow back after when they cut them off. Who knows?
And then finally, in the last scene of the episode with Jon and some managed to recruit only 3 minor houses at the end of the day: House Mormont, House Hornwood, and House Mazin, adding only 405 soldiers to their army. Lyanna and
what they got.
Yeah, that's right. Lyanna and her men are seen among the Stark and Wildling forces. Davos deals with a brawl among the Wildlings and Northern soldiers. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Jon is adamant that they attack Winterfell as soon as possible before Ramsay allies more forces and before the weather turns on them. Sansa disagrees, instead opting to try and recruit more houses, House Serwyn. When Jon refuses to change his mind, Sansa begins writing a letter, later to reveal to be sent by Raven to Littlefinger, taking him up on the offer for troops she previously rejected. Now, Jay, I have a question for you.
That's who she sent it to, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So then I got a question for you.
She's seen the ravens, and then she started writing a letter.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Was this a good move or a bad one on her part?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
They're desperate.
They're very desperate.
They're desperate.
And you know what? Then and Baelish is the type of guy to fucking eat to thrive off of people's desperate, like people that are desperate. Now, is he going to show what side of him is he going to show? The sun's side, or is he going to? Sorry, bro, while you were drinking that, I did it on purpose.
Sons.
Show that side, or is he going to show the side that he like fucking cares about her, like, or what?
That's the question.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's why I'm asking you.
He's got the moon door, right?
Was this a good moon or a good
moon door or whatever?
Yes, he's there.
He's up there at that place, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Good move or bad one?
Well, we'll have to see yet to come. I don't know. I don't know. I would hope it would be a good move, and he just put everything aside and do what he has to do. But I just sometimes for what he's been for so far.
Sure. You can't trust this guy.
But to know that he had to physically, she physically made him hear what Ramsay did to her, I feel that maybe that could have changed.
It's possible because he wants to get back in her good graces that he would help her in this situation. And also, it's not like he's going to be the one fighting. He'll send people to fight for them.
He can just sit back, and
I guess
if
we'll
they come
see.
up to attack him, he just throws them out the door.
Might be a mistake, though. I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? I mean, that's
what I mean. At this show, you never know, right?
Yeah. Shanja, yeah. For the record though, I don't think Jon's making the wrong decision. Jon's right. They need to attack now or they're wasting time, and they may not be as strong as they want. But Jon survived crazier battles than this at this point, so with less men, so he's just like, we have no choice, like, let's do this thing, right? I get it. I don't think he's making a hasty move by saying but Sansa's convinced they don't have enough people, so she's reaching out, right? And if they could get Baelish's people to join them, it would help, right? So I mean, we'll see, but really great stuff. This is all really great stuff happening right now.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. That was my favorite stuff this episode, I think, is that stuff, right? So then we're back over here with
AA meeting. This is where it reminds me of an AA meeting.
A gathering, a trio of men from the Brotherhood without banners arrives. and attempts to extort the group that the Hound was with.
Yeah, it's like a little meeting
Yeah.
thing they had going on.
They kind of got a circle going. Yeah, it is kind of like an aim, but it's people kind of like,
I don't even know who
at-
these people are.
well,
Like,
this
is
me
this
people
a set of
admitting
saviors?
no, like this is the village people right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
So they're admitting stuff, the wrongdoings in their past to the Septon. Like he's talking about his past and like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're trying to learn from him. He's like a priest, sort of like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
no,
So he's trying to like advise them, and they were kind of talking out this shit and talking about, you know, their past mistakes and grievances and stuff like that, or you know, things they've done. And he's talking to them, and all of a sudden the Brotherhood Without Banners arrives and it attempts to extort the group. But upon finding out that the group has no worthwhile possessions, they leave. The Hound warns the Septon that the Brotherhood will return and that Ray should defend himself from them. He tells Sandor that violence is a disease and you don't cure it by spreading it to more people. And then Sandor replies that you don't cure it at all by dying either, right? And he's seen enough ugliness in this world at this point that the Hound knows how terrible these people are. He's already come across the people with the Brothers Without Banners. Yeah. He's fought with them. That's who he killed, the guy who had the flame sword. He ended up killing him and he brought him back to life, right? So like, he's tangled with them already. He's like, don't fuck around with these guys. And we already know that the Brotherhood Without Banners is also working for the Bolton family right now, trying to fucking like they
get their orders from the Ramsay.
Right. So
this is it, and this is where it gets weird.
He's not wrong by what he says. No. Like I know people don't want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, you can't just I get both sides of it, but he's right. This is an ugly world, and you can't just sit back and allow people to get away with this type of shit. That's what he was warning him of. He's like, I get where you're coming from, but this is the wrong move, right?
Yeah, you gotta be prepared.
That's right.
These types of people will come back.
That's
I'm
right.
Surprised they don't notice the Hound right away with that big scar.
That's right. Although, then we go back over to Arya here. Although we last saw Arya hiding in the dark with the needle in her hand, the scene opens up with Arya walking openly through Braavos without needles, with her hands behind her back. She approaches two Westerosi raiders drinking at an outdoor table and negotiates passage to Westeros at dawn. Through the use of large bags of money, she shows them. We next see Arya standing on a bridge, admiring a view of the Titan of Braavos, when an old woman approaches her and reveals herself to be the waif. She disguised herself, who repeatedly stabs her in the gut, twisting the knife as she does. Arya escapes by leaping over the handrail and into the river. She is left stumbling through the streets of Braavos, leaving a trail of blood droplets and visibly afraid. Not looking good for Arya in this moment, right?
No, but she's gonna see her die.
That's right.
That's all I say. Right. I've learned that part. Yeah, here we go.
That's right. She lives to see another day for now.
For now.
And then finally, later, while he goes out to the forest to chop wood, he returns to find all of the villagers murdered. This is the Hound we're talking about, of course, and the Septon hanged. Angered by this, he picks up an axe and heads off, John Wick fucking style. He's like,
bro. And that's it. That was the end.
That was the end of the episode. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's just chopping away. And he's not chopping he's chopping heavy duty wood. Like, I mean, he's not making it.
Vengeance is on his mind right now. You can guarantee that much. The Hound is not pleased by this, and he warned him.
Well,
he warned them,
and then they're all there with arrows stuck in them, bro. Like these people, 3 guys took that whole
but again,
on.
The man cannot find peace. Like he's trying to live a different life, not
trying to get over everything.
Cannot find peace. So he keeps getting dragged into these situations where he has to kill people. So now he's just like fuck it. Yeah.
You know, so I mean? It's like I fucking feel bad for you.
Man. Now, I can't wait. Upset. I can't wait for you to see the next one because I've already went ahead and watched it. It's great stuff.
I couldn't watch that far ahead. But yeah, no, fucking bullshit.
Great episode though. Yeah, great episode.
It was, and I this is when I was like the Arya thing, and I thought to myself, that's what I was thought we were going to talk about. I was like, yes, and there's another one I'm going to see. You don't see die in this one, and I was gonna jump ahead to see what the fuck happened just to see, but I got late that night, so I was like, fuck, I gotta just crash out.
You got laid?
No, it got late that night. Don't think that, bro. Come on, man. When do I ever get late?
I was about to say you got laid. Good job, man.
It's a party, bro. We're going out for a party. If I can get laid, don't worry. We're going out for a party one day. But yeah, other than that, Yeah,
Great
no, it
episode.
was a great episode.
Great episode. Yeah.
That's what I
Thank
said.
you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, thank you for tuning into these. And
Thank
they'll
you,
be
guys.
continue to drop Thursdays at 8 p.m. And Jay, thank you for actually watching the episode this time around.
Yeah, sorry, man. This is gonna be the top.
I just had to say it one more time before we wrap up because we won't talk about it past this. But yeah, thanks everyone.
It'll be in our own chat. Don't you worry.
All right, thanks. We'll see you guys next time. Later.
Take care. Peace out, guys.